Good afternoon, everyone. This is from a mask. I think this will work. I had another device and I had some issues, but I think this will work good. So I've been reminiscing a lot, and I haven't been on Facebook much. I know I haven't. Keep seeing your posts, but the last month has been crazy, like it has probably for everyone. I got my AC in last night. I just came in from a run a little bit ago. From going out on a walk, it is warm. It's about 4.5 years now that I actually left the Amish. And so if we back up to when I was 13, so I accepted Christ when I was 13 years old and started reading the Bible and getting into the Word and so forth. And several years later, I don't have an exact time frame. I think it was several years later. I was biking on the road, and it was really random, but it was a beautiful day. I remember biking on the road. It always comes back to me because it's so clear yet. And I just heard this voice and saying that about going to this specific church. And if I ever heard God in an audible voice, I think it's that time that I heard him like the loudest. I remember looking around and but there was no one around. It was so clear. At the same time, it was puzzling because I didn't know anyone that went to that church. I knew the building, the church that was there, that they had moved to a different building. So it was kind of random. It was strange to me in a sense, like it was, and I didn't really talk about it with other people. And as time went on, I didn't really know what to do with it, and so I said, it kept coming back to me every now and then, and it got to the point where I was just like, I couldn't just shrug it off anymore. It just kept coming to me, and finally I said, okay, God, if this is what you want me to do, show me, help me to get to know someone that goes there, or something that I know that this is what I'm supposed to do. And I just had a peace because I was desperate. I wanted to know if that's what I was supposed to do. At the same time, I didn't know how that would happen. And every time it kept coming back to me, I would just pray that same thing. And I just had a peace. And I kind of, like, it didn't, forgot about it for a while. About a year to a year and a half later, I went to a ministry place. I had some health issues, and I was also looking for some emotional help, emotional support. And so I went to a counseling place, like a ministry counseling place, for long term, for a number of months. And after I was there for a while, all of a sudden it dawned on me that a few of the staff that were there went to the specific church. And I was like, I just remember my mouth dropped, and I was like, whoa. And I knew that it wasn't just a happen. I talked with them a little bit about it, but at the time we were not allowed to talk about that. We weren't allowed to leave while we were there, and so I didn't talk about it again. I tried, and they were like, they can't talk about it, and then I shut it out again. I left the ministry place. I moved a few times. At the time, with my health the way it was, I wasn't able to go to church hardly ever. I didn't have a job. I didn't have a way of supporting myself financially. And at this point, I was like in my later teens, 16 to 20. And then, so I thought it didn't seem like an option. I also wasn't even sure if I wanted that church. It wasn't conservative. I had never considered not being conservative. I had a good relationship with my parents. I had a good relationship with my family, and I didn't want to ruin that. My family had gone through so much with my health and with me already that I just thought I couldn't put them through something like that. I knew it would be really hard on them, and I didn't want to add stress. Stress, of course, isn't good for your health, and I wasn't sure if I could handle it. It looked impossible because of my not being able to support myself, and there were times I thought, I don't want to leave, and then other times I was like, okay, God, if that's what you want. And then after some time, I just knew in me that I was going to have to do something, or, talk about it or something. And one day, I just knew I had to talk about it with someone. I remember it was towards evening, and I went to my room and I just cried. I said, I was desperate, but I was also afraid, and I just didn't know what to, I was just full of emotions. I had to tell someone, and at the same time was afraid. And I remember I just cried, and then I went downstairs and I just said, I'm going to tell someone. It doesn't matter what happens. And I went downstairs. I went outside on the porch. The people I live with were sitting on the porch. And we started talking, and I just told them everything. What I felt I was supposed to do, the feelings, and I just told them everything. And they were really nice. They listened, and then they were like, they don't really feel that would be God because it's not, conservative, this and this, and this wouldn't be scriptural. And at the time, they said, let's keep talking about it. We'll just kind of process it and give yourself time. Don't make any rash decisions, and they won't tell anyone. And that was really helpful to me to process it better. Like, is this actually what I want, or is it just a lot of feelings that could lead me to not so good choices? But I remember going to bed that evening, or going up in a room, and I just felt like singing at the top of my lungs, and I just laughed, and I had such a peace. I knew that's what I had to do. I didn't really care what people thought or what happened. I mean, I didn't know what my future would hold, but so the next days, they kind of saw me after that. They kind of saw me as a different person. They didn't trust me. They didn't, it was almost like they saw me as a completely different person after that, which that was kind of hard. But they didn't hash me or anything. At one point they were like, you should wait a year to make a decision. And inside I was like, okay, I wasn't sure. I knew I didn't want to wait that long, but then a week later they were like, they don't think you should wait that long, and they don't want to keep it quiet for that long. If that's what I feel I want to do, then we should make the next steps. And at that point, I just knew that's what I was supposed to do. And so I called my parents, and I called the bishop to discontinue my membership in the Amish church. And my parents didn't say a ton. I mean, they didn't. I think they were somewhat shocked, but at the same time, they didn't say, at that point, they didn't say really much. And the bishop was very nice, very understanding. He didn't, say too much either. And then the next weeks, after that, I told friends, and if you know the Amish, it kind of explodes, something like that. One person tells the next, and within weeks, everyone knew in the. But I didn't care. I was like, that's what I'm gonna do. You can do what you want. And I wasn't living exactly in my home, like my parents' area. That was helpful to me too. So after that, when I visited my parents the next time, I had a really good talk with my parents. They don't necessarily support me, but they had good questions, and we had a really, really good talk. So to the point I was glad for that talk, because I knew we would have to talk through things sometime. And it wasn't easy, but at the same time, I was 20 or 21 at that point, and so I was old enough that they respect it. Like, that's still, we don't exactly support you, but it's still your decision, and we respect that. And then it took several months until I was able to find a home. I still didn't have a job. I wasn't really going to church much at all. It's just like occasionally when I was able to. So it took several months until I was able to find a place to live. I moved in with a girl. I didn't know her, but I knew her parents and I knew her family. And so I moved in with her. Before I actually moved, I changed a few things. Like, I started wearing a small head covering, like a non-Amish head covering, and a skirt and a blouse. And then after I moved, I completely changed to not being conservative. So that was kind of the biggest thing, was after I moved in, away from the Amish home, when I changed everything. And I didn't know how my family would respond, when I went visit and everything, but they were really good. I'd say for the biggest part, no one, said anything. No one made a difference. It was, a little awkward for me and also for them in the beginning, but I actually moved in my home area then. So I lived about 3 miles from my parents, and I saw them, almost every week, or sometimes a few times a week or whatever, and they didn't make any difference. And every now and then we have talks just like we did before I left. But yeah, and as time went on, I see people here and there, and most of them are talkative. Some of them are a little shy, and but yeah, that was kind of the process of leaving. I think a bigger thing for me was also like an identity. You learn a different identity, then I don't know, you have to grow a different identity, and there's just a lot of things that come with it. But that was kind of the biggest, how I changed. And I just have had much peace since, and I don't regret it at all. So I think that is it. If you have comments or if you have questions, feel free to comment below, and I will do my best to answer them. And I have cookies to bake. I am going to have different things. I want to start with the cleaning, and I want to finish the dress for my niece. I started a dress for my niece that I want to finish. And I hope you're all having a great afternoon and stays cool somehow, and enjoy your day.